Hello and welcome back to Uplift Equine. Today we are going to be starting a brand new series on classical solutions. So classical training solutions to everyday horse training challenges and problems. Today we're going to be talking about training for the intro level tests A and B from the USDF Dressage test book. We're going to go over the tests and then we will go over what is in the tests for you to work on, the groundwork associated with it, the lunge work, in-hand work, and under saddle portion. So all of those things that you can do with your horse prior to these tests and training for these tests and how they work along relationally with your horse and you being able to not only develop a good relationship with your horse, but have fun and keep to walk trot if you are not quite ready for canter work yet. And I like the intro level tests as an introductory to dressage because they're easy to remember. You don't necessarily need a collar unless you really want one. Or like myself, your memory is not all that great when you're under pressure. But we'll also be going down the German training scale and how that relates to the intro level tests. Because the way the dressage training pyramid, or I like to just put it down as a checklist, but the way the dressage training pyramid works is you're not just focusing on rhythm during intro, and that's the only thing you focus on, and then you go to training and then you focus on suppleness and rhythm. So it doesn't build up like that. Every level or every test you go through like a checklist, the German training scale, and say, okay, where's my collection after I've gone through rhythm and suppleness and contact and straightness and impulsion and all of that. So we'll go through all of that, and let's start out with the intro level test A. So we enter working trot, we begin medium walk right at X. So in just about every other dressage test, you would halt at X. But with this one, we just go right down to a medium walk. So that's our first transition. You track right and you go around the corner at the walk. So the way the dressage tests work, and if you print one out like I'm reading from here, it looks like it's just a short corner. But the expectation of training in these intro level tests is you're doing a shallower corner because cornering and circles are hard for horses, especially if they're carrying weight, such as a rider. So the expectation for the corner is you are going to be doing no sharper of a corner than your smallest circle in the test. So our smallest circle is the only one, and that's 20 meters. So when you corner, you're going to be cornering at a 20-meter quarter circle. So that's something to note. And then you enter working trot rising after this corner. You go down the long side, you corner again at your 20-meter quarter turn, and you start at A for your 20-meter circle. So you got the 20-meter quarter turn, and then whoop, you got your 20-meter working trot rising circle. And then you go through the corner again. So basically you do your circle and then you do another quarter turn, and then instead of going back into a circle, you start at K and you go diagonally down to M, and then do another 20-meter quarter turn around that circle to C, and then at C do another 20-meter circle. So basically it's kind of a broken up figure 8 because you're going to go one direction and then you're going to go diagonally down the arena and then go the other direction. So you've got that. And then after that, right after C, you bring your horse down to a medium walk. Do your 20-meter quarter turn around the corner, and then you're going to be doing a free walk diagonally between H and F. So you go down, you let the horse go, nice break. And then with F, you're going to be doing another corner, and then cornering down the center line and halting at the center line at the walk. So you do your free walk down the diagonal, You pick it up to a working or medium walk, and then you go down the center line and halt, salute. So that's your introductory level test A, USDF 2023. So we've got 20-meter circles, straight lines, medium walk, working trot, free walk, and halt. So once you break it down, the simple test seems a little bit more complex than first assumed. So with the groundwork, and remember, groundwork is you are standing in front of the horse, facing the horse, asking the horse to do things, and you're seeing how the horse reacts to your whip. So if you want to start with very basic groundwork, foundational groundwork, you can check out my playlist on foundational groundwork, which is being added to continually. And those are the elements that you need to do prior to this intro level groundwork. And what I would suggest is getting a lunge cavesson. So getting a lunge cavesson, you've got your groundwork, you're facing the horse, you're controlling its head, and you have your whip. So the straight line walk transitions. So down the straight line, it seems very simple, but you are going to do the transitions between walk and halt. These transitions will help the horse push off. So this is the impulsion portion. It seems fairly easy for the horse, and which it is, but you are teaching the horse to be sensitive to your touch on their nose, which translates into the touch on their mouth, which will come later. Your forward down walk. So when I'm training stretching gaits, I like to make it very obvious for the horse. So you've got, you start leading the horse's head down into a forward down position. Now this doesn't guarantee that they're going to be going in and stretching down towards that and using their nuchal ligament right away, but this is showing the horse physically how they can use their head as a fulcrum to adjust their balance. Just as you were to lead a child through a tumble in gymnastics, you're not going to just say, hey, tumble, or hey, figure it out and tumble after I show you one time. You are going to be leading this child through a tumble by physically helping them go through it. So this is the physically helping the horse understand where their head is going and how that affects their balance. So with the forward down of the walk, you lead their head down, you keep walking backwards with them and teach them that portion. Now the halt on the curve. This is something that I do with almost every horse that I teach and every human on the horse that I teach, because it helps with straightness and it prepares the horse for lateral work. It is a very light thing, but when the horse is carrying weight, it's harder for them to balance properly because of strength issues. So halting on a curve helps with your strength issues, and it helps teach them how to balance through not only a curve, but the circle. Because the common problem with a lot of people riding in general is the horse will fall into the circle and cause you to have kind of like an oval, or just fall in and negate the circle after the first quarter turn in the first place. So halting on a curve is a very good light gymnastic movement that prepares the horse for a lot of things. So teaching the horse how to balance themselves without carrying weight is the first step, and the first very important step. You don't want to tell them, hey, we're going to learn how to do a new thing and you're going to carry my weight along with it before you even learned how to do the thing in the first place. And that's the trouble a lot of people get into when they don't do their groundwork or don't even know what groundwork to do. So you have the halt on the curve, yielding the shoulder. So what I mean by that is you're leading this horse at a walk through this curve, and then as the horse is somewhat bent through the curve, you halt them. At first it's going to be hard for them. They're going to drop their shoulder and lean in and lean on you. They're not going to want to stop on the curve. They want to just go right through it. And that's something that you'll have to work on little by little. Just say, okay, we're going to halt anyway. So they drop their shoulder, they come in on you, but you want them to halt anyway. Just get them to halt and then lead them away. And then try the curve again. Ask them to halt through the curve. And if you continue to do that, they will get stronger and stronger and start understanding, if I halt on this curve, then there will be less pressure on my nose, and I will do the thing right, and it will be easy for me, and my human gives me praise and sometimes treats. So they'll start figuring that out really easy. But you've got to do that, and that's all of the groundwork. So you've got your straight line walk transitions, forward down walk, halt walk transitions on the straight line, and then your halt transitions from medium walk to halt on the curve, whilst yielding the shoulder. The lunge line will help them get through the circles. So you've got your 20-meter circles. So you want to mark out your lunge line to 10 meters, because your 20-meter is a 20-meter diameter. So that means your lunge line is going to have to be at 10 meters. So I would mark it out with a piece of electrical tape so that when you let the horse out, you know, okay, I'm at 20 meters right now. And in theory, if you get your horse to go around a 20-meter circle, 10 meters away from you, and you stay still, which can be a challenge, then you've got your 20-meter circle, as long as the rein doesn't go slack. So the thing that you want to focus on with this is relaxation on the circle. So a lot of horses have a lot of anxiety when they're going the circle. It's because of a balance issue, a strength balance issue, or they've had some bad experience with a lunge line before. So first we want to get them comfortable with the lunge line, the equipment, the concept of going around in a circle. And again, that's a foundational issue. So you work through all of that. They know how to go in a circle or be sent onto a circle. So you do that, and then you ask them to walk on the circle until they bring their anxiety down, because if you get the horse to do something for long enough, barring the heat, like other elements such as heat and footing, but this is assuming that you have good footing, it's not too hot, and everybody is happy, the horse will relax. So you want to start looking for the horse's head to go down, a softer eye instead of a looking around and not paying attention to anything, because when they're looking around and not paying attention, that means there's some sort of tension or fear happening. But once they start to relax, that's when you want to move on. So you don't move on to a trot until the walk is relaxed and feels safe. So then you've got your trot transition on your 20-meter circle on the lunge. So you do your trot walk transition. So you go up to a trot. They're on balance, so they're going to be looky-looky. They're going to pop their head up, and then you transition them down to a walk where they're safe and comfortable, and then you transition them up. So you do the upwards, downwards transitions until you start seeing the trot soften. And then once you see the trot soften, so the heads go slightly down, they soften their eye, they seem to be a lot more relaxed and engaged with you, that's when you want them to continue to trot and watch their head kind of lower so that it's more level with their back. So it's not up, it's more level with their back, and they're softer. So that's when they're comfortable being on the circle without a rider. So that's where you want them for intro level. Softened, relaxed, not afraid of balancing on a circle, and that's when you can move on to riding work. But first, in-hand work. So in-hand work differs from ground work in that you are now standing facing the same direction as the horse, but you are standing next to their shoulder as if you were in the saddle, but you're standing next to them. And you have your reins attached to the lunge cavesson or the bridle. So this is where the bridle comes in. You don't want to do your lunge work or ground work with the bridle. You do your in-hand and riding work with the bridle. So you've got that. You've got your whip, you've got your outside rein, and then you have your inside rein. So you want to do walk, halt, transition. So the same transitions that you did on the ground work, you then transfer to the in-hand work so that they can react in a very light, nice manner. And the light, nice manner comes from first being able to balance themselves with these transitions without a bit in their mouth in the groundwork. So, and then you reinforce it in the lunge work. So you've got your in-hand work. This is where you get your nice light hand feel. Then you do forward, down, at walk. So this can be a little bit tricky, but you've got your outside rein, which I consider your collecting rein, and your inside rein, your yielding rein or bending rein. So it's not just bending the neck, it's bending the neck and shoulders and yielding the shoulders to the outside. So you do that through the corner. So you take your corner and you do your bending rein, yield them, and you're going to do this until they start kind of reaching down into the contact, because you've already got them relaxing on the lunge and them kind of getting the concept of reaching down into the bit. This is going to take some work, but you want them to do this before you get in the saddle. So now you've got your walk, halt, transitions, which we were doing before, but you want to have those walk, halt transitions on the curve. So the same ones you did in the groundwork, now you're doing it with in hand. So now they're responding to the reins instead of the front of the nose. This is important because they already have the concept roughly in their brain from the groundwork. Now you're transferring this concept to reins. And the reason why you don't want to start out with the reins is because there's a danger of getting too heavy when they are imbalanced and don't understand quite what you're asking. So you're avoiding that step of them balancing on the reins, taking the reins down because they're annoyed with the contact, and you skip all of that. You avoid all of those bad habits, and then you just transfer it from groundwork to in-hand work, and now you have a light horse. So we've got all that. Now, after all this preparation, you can then mount and start under saddle work. So under saddle homework. You got your straight lines. So you start off with straight lines because that's easier on the horse, and it's easier for them to relax with you on their back, period. So you've got your walk, trot, halt transitions. Now I would encourage you to practice the halt walk transitions prior to introducing a trot transition. You don't want to do skip gait just yet. You just want to do walk and trot and halt from the walk. So you start with that. When the horse is comfortable with those transitions on a straight line, you start your circle. So you do your circle at the walk, make sure that they are relaxed, reaching down into the contact at the medium walk, and then you can start your figure eight. So you've got your circle, and then you've got another circle going the other direction at the walk. So when they are strong, they can do their 20-meter corners and their circles, and you've got your perfect circle going on. That's when I would introduce the trot. So with your figure eight, introduce the trot going one direction on one part of the figure eight. So you've got your walk going around and then trot, and make sure that they are just as if they're on the lunge. They are reaching into the contact, they're relaxing, they're not popping their head up, which they may do in the beginning, but this is what you want to work towards, getting them relaxed and working trot on the circle without any drama. Then you reverse it so that you can go both directions equally. When that is good, you start your halt transitions on the curve from the walk. In intro level, we want to do this only from the walk. So once the horse is understanding the bending rein, so bending and yielding rein and collecting rein, you use your bending yielding rein to go around the curve, and then your seat to ask for a halt. I wouldn't use the collecting rein just yet, but keep that as a stability. Like, you're not pulling, but it's just there. And it's not slack, but you're not pulling. So it's your collecting rein, your outside rein is just there. Your bending rein, you bring it up a little bit, and you ask for a halt from your seat. Just as the groundwork, it's going to be a little messy at first, so they're going to drop their shoulder, fall in. You do the same routine as the groundwork and the in-hand work. Just keep doing it and keep asking for that halt on the circle with their shoulder yielded until they do it in a relaxed manner. And you want to keep the same lightness on the rein under saddle as you had in hand, because if you start doing a lot of under saddle manhandling with the reins and you're nice in hand, they're going to get confused. So you want to be extremely consistent with that. And if they don't respond, it's generally due to a balance issue, a strength issue, or an understanding issue. Now, if you do your groundwork and in-hand work faithfully, it should not be a understanding issue. It will likely be a strength and balance issue, because even though they've now learned to balance themselves doing these things, they are having trouble until they build that muscle. They will have trouble balancing you, which means you have to be an easy load and balance yourself really well. So, and then you've got your walk, trot, forward, down. So your walk, forward, down is the free walk. And the free walk is in the test, so that is definitely something that you want to be able to do. So the horse is reaching down into the contact at the walk. Now, you've shown the horse how to do this at the groundwork, and then you have encouraged them and shown them how to do this from in hand with your reins. Now, the forward down at the walk, you want to open up your hips, allow their back to move up as their head moves down. The thing that you don't want to do is widen your hands, because a lot of people do that to get that head to go down because they think free walk equals head down. But what it really means is free walk equals head down, and they're using their nuchal ligament to raise their back. So in order for them to do that, they need to be on or in front of the vertical. Doing this shortens your reins, gets them to bring their head down, but because they don't have enough rein and because it's just a headset, they will be behind the vertical and not using the nuchal ligament to raise their back. People get in trouble with that, and then they move on to the stretching trot with that, and then they get bad points and results for that, because what the judges are actually looking for is on or in front of the vertical and them actually reaching down, not a head just going down. So if you start this at the walk, it will be much easier at the trot. I promise you, because it's a consistency thing. You start something at the walk, then you can transfer to the trot, then you can transfer to the canter, easy peasy. But you need to start with a good fundamental background with everything. All right, so relationally, you're using your groundwork to build your relationship with your horse. So you want to start rewarding through appreciation, so that could be treats, not too many treats. I have fallen into that, and my 5-year-old is showing me that I'm giving him too many treats. But yeah, that could be through food reward, that could be through a good pat, it could be through taking a break. So taking a break actually is a good reward for some horses. And you want to figure out what is best for your horse. And if you do your foundational stuff with your groundwork, with your rope halter, you start to understand what kind of reward your horse prefers. Some horses, they just prefer to be left alone. You walk quietly next to them, give them a break. Some horses are extremely food motivated, like my gelding. And some horses would just love a pat of appreciation, like my previous mare. So she did not like food rewards. It did not impress her. And she liked her breaks and she liked her appreciation. So figuring out what is best for your horse is your first goal. And then whenever they do something good, smile and say thank you. Now this is helping you adjust your attitude towards training. So you're not using these training things as expectation. You're not saying, horse, I feed you, I take care of you, I house you, so this is my expectation for you. Horses don't understand that. All they understand is, hey, this is my life, and here's my human that I interact with generally most, and this is what we do together. So you want to keep the attitude of, hey, this is what we do together. And you don't want them to be kind of trapped in a choiceless environment, I suppose you could say. So you want them to want to work with you, basically. So you smile and you say thank you. Understand weakness and imbalance. So understanding that sometimes the horse is wanting to do the thing that you're asking, or trying to figure out what you're asking. And then once they figure it out, sometimes their bodies don't jive with their brain. They want to do the right thing, but sometimes their bodies are not strong enough. And understanding that will help you as the rider / trainer / handler to be more understanding and be more encouraging for the horse as they work through their issues. Because they have the innate desire to please. If they don't have any bad history or, previous trauma, they are generally wanting to please. So telling them that they're doing the right thing and encouraging them and saying thank you and smiling all helps to get the horse to a point where they enjoy being with you, they enjoy their work, and you just call them, they see you're coming, they hear your car coming in, and they just trot right up to you. That is the aim of a lot of horse people. And using this as a basis and basically things to do to work towards that relationship is something that you want to keep in mind, for sure. Keeping curiosity alive. So keeping the horse curious, which means allowing them to make mistakes, allowing them to explore what you are asking for, and allowing them, once the exploration is happening, sometimes doing the wrong thing. And you've got to be okay with that, because if you just punish them, you're like, no, this is the wrong thing, that's not what we're going to do. You may need that thing that they tried later on in training. And since you punished them before, they're not going to want to do that thing. So, for example, I am asking my gelding for a school halt. So they lean back, they drop their haunches, asking for a school halt. He loves this thing because he thinks that it's the easiest thing, and he gets a treat afterwards, and he wants to do it all the time because he's extremely food motivated. So as he got more collected and stronger, he started naturally doing what was a proto levade. So that's the first time he did it, he just reared right up. Part of the reason why he did that, it was we were doing this in the rain, because I don't care what, as long as there's no lightning, I don't care what weather we've got, I just wear some rain gear. He lives outside anyway. He doesn't really like being wet, but we can work through the discomfort through training. So it was raining and there was a lot of mosquitoes, and I was starting to regret my decision to go and do a training session in the rain. But he was doing really well, and between being uncomfortable and stronger and wanting to impress, he reared up. So I'm like, okay. And he came back down. He was like, he just had his ears forward, like, did I do good? So I didn't give him a treat, but I did pat him, and we took a break. So I'm not going to punish him for that, because one of my end goals is for him to do a levade. Now, rearing up is not a levade, but he got through that step. Now, later on in training, he doesn't just rear up on me all the time, but later on in training, he tried to do another type of proto-levade where he popped his head up and used that momentum to get his front end up, which happens with a lot of horses when their back isn't strong enough for them to just lift themselves. And again, I didn't reward. I just, like, okay, let's calm down, let's take a break. And that was that. He didn't try it again that training session, but that was that. And then later, we do the school walk, and he just lifts himself perfectly. Like, he drops his hind end, his shoulders are up, and he just tucks his front legs. Perfect levade. And I that's when I give him a treat. I'm like, whoa. He explored this himself. I asked him to do the school halt, and he just like, what if I just did this? So that's training through curiosity. Now my horse can do a levade. Now, we're still working on the signaling for that, but he did it all on his own. And that's what happens when you keep curiosity alive. Now, you're not going to get a perfectly compliant bomb-proof horse with doing that. You may eventually, as they mentally mature through all of this interaction, but it's not going to be a fast, I have a 6-year-old that's bomb-proof and will do anything. That's not necessarily true, because a lot of that, now this isn't every case, but a lot of those cases, that is through learned helplessness. And you don't want to do that. Learned helplessness kills curiosity, and it kills your ability to train future, more complicated, complex movements. And that's where a lot of people get in trouble in first level, because that's when movements start getting a little more complex. And if a horse has learned helplessness in their past, it's not impossible, but they're not going to be as expressive. They're going to have trouble with it, and you're going to have to do some remedial training. But I digress. Let's go down the training scale with all of these things in consideration for intro level. So first, rhythm. Developed and maintained through transitions on straight lines. So that's where you establish your rhythm, straight lines. Suppleness. Developed through relaxation and routine. So the suppleness is getting them relaxed into things. They're more pliable and supple when they're not bracing against you physically and mentally because they're scared of something, or they don't understand something, or they're not strong enough to do something, which makes them tense. Routine helps them become more mentally supple because, okay, I know what's going to happen, I know what's next, I don't have to be nervous about it. Now, routine is good in the beginning. If you have too much routine, it can become bad, but here, we need some routine. Contact, developed through forward, down, into, and out of working gaits. So you're forward, down at the walk, going up into the medium walk, going back down, going back up, and then transitioning from the forward down to the medium walk to the working trot. All of that creates desire for contact. So them reaching into your contact, you not pulling on them for contact. And that's how they get to use their body for these transitions and use their body for this light collection that happens at the intro level. Impulsion. Developed through forward down, into and out of medium gaits, and skip gait transitions. So it's very close to contact. Impulsion and contact go hand in hand. But the skip gait transitions will help you with good push impulsion. So that's the push off that happens in going forward. So the skip gait transitions in here are halt to trot. So that's, you're skipping the gait of walk. That happens in intro level test B, which we'll go over in a minute. But you will, let's finish off with this one. You will develop straightness through the circles and halt on the curve. Straightness is developed through lateral work and gymnastic movement. Halt on the curve is a very, very, very light introductory to lateral work. So doing that while their body is curves gets them to straighten out, given that you're doing it equally going both directions. So straightening them out means their hips are not cocked to the side, their shoulders are not cocked to the side, their shoulders are even, not down or one or the other, they're straight. So the strength to be straight is developed through those things. And then at the top, collection, simple collection through all movements and work. So all of the things that we just did, rhythm, suppleness, contact, impulsion, straightness, that culminates to collection. So collection isn't the piaffe. Piaffe is a level of collection that you can get, but collection in the intro level means that the horse is able to easily go in between the halt, medium walk, working trot, and back down seamlessly and strong without falling onto one shoulder or falling onto the other shoulder or falling down onto your hand. They are just nicely doing those transitions. So that's what you got for intro test A. B is very similar. We'll go through that, and that's the reason why I didn't really touch on it, because the only difference other than the movements, the order of movements, is that you are doing a skip gait transition at the end of the test. So from a working trot down to a halt. And that's it. So let's go through the intro level test B. So intro level test B, you are entering at the working trot rising. And then you halt through medium walk. So you will transition down for a couple of steps of medium walk and then halt. So it's a very gradual transition down to a halt. Proceed working trot rising. So it's a skip gait transition, skipping the walk portion and going right from the halt into the trot. That's the next thing. Track left working trot rising. So again, you're going left, you're going around the turn as a quarter turn of a 20-meter circle. So you're going down, and then in the middle of the arena, between E and B, around X, you are going to do a circle, working trot circle. Once you get back to where you started at E, you keep going at the working trot down the long side, and then you do your other curve. But what you're doing is you are, between K and A, you are transitioning down from the working trot down to the medium walk. So you go through your transition, and then as you exit the circle, you transition down from the working trot. You go through, you do your other quarter 20-meter circle turn at the medium walk, and then, you go from F to E, so it's not quite F to H, it's a less shallow diagonal than the original one, and you do that at the free walk. So you let your reins go, the horse goes down, they are in the forward down position at the walk. You keep your reins where they would be with any part of your riding, and you let them go. You collect your reins back up into the medium walk, going back up the long side towards C. You do your working or your medium walk quarter turn, which is your corner. And then right as you exit the quarter turn, you transition up to working trot rising. So you do your working trot rising, you go through your curve, you go down the long side, and then again going the opposite direction, you will do your circle in the middle of the arena around X at the working trot. And then after you get back to B, you go down and then do your quarter circle turn. And then at A, you then turn down the center line, you transition down to the medium walk, and then you halt. So before I lied, the skip gait transitions in the beginning, not the end. So that's what you got, test A and test B. All of these things are required. We went through the groundwork, the lunge work, the in-hand work, under saddle homework, and then we've talked about the relationship portion of this, along with the German training skill, how it applies to intro level. So, you've got all of that, and I hope you got something out of this with your intro test. And doing these things to prep for the test will help your scores, because it will help your overall balance in training, which is exactly what dressage means, is training. And you can show off all of your achievements through your halts, walk, and trot. So it's not just simply a test to get through, it is a test to prepare for. And if you've prepared for the test, you are almost guaranteed to get good scores. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for attending this lecture, basically. And I hope you return for the next episode of Classical Solutions, where we should talk about intro level test C and training level test 1. The reason why is because they're very similar. They introduce the canter and all of the other stuff that goes with it. But this is only assuming that you've done your test A and B preparation and have gone through those things. So, thank you all. Please give us a like. Please comment if you have any comments. Good or bad, I can take it. It'll give me some feedback for future episodes of the Classical Solutions. So, I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you for attending.